We're continuing with the weekly series, and in this video, we will be solving the CDP section of paper 2, 7th January 2024. If these videos are useful for you, do put in a like, you can share it, do subscribe to my channel. Let's begin. Okay, so we are with, question 1 is in a progressive education, children are perceived as, what are they perceived as? Innocent, compliant, knowledgeable,
Ma'am,
meaning making.
I'm sorry to intervene, but
Yeah,
here this you are discussing what you had all what these students have already solved, or we have to solve it now, or is this the discussion session?
this is the discussion session. Just a second. Generally, today before ending the class, I just tell that for the next week, these are the paper we are going to be solving. You
Acha.
will generally solve it yourself. I put up the answers on Sunday morning. If you can cross check and come, very good. If you don't cross check, we can just solve it out here. But what
Okay.
happens? The difference between this and doing on your own is you get the explanations also. Okay,
Understood.
let's get back. In a progressive classroom, children are perceived as, what are they perceived as? Let me see the chat. You can either put it on the chat or you can put it on unmute and tell me what the answer would be. Whatever you have answered, you can tell me that. So knowledge, Anna says knowledge and meaning making 3. Yes, that's correct. So if you look at the options, so this is the correct option. If you look at the options, innocent and dependable, we don't want compliant and capable of only. So wherever the word only comes, it's not going to be there. Vulnerable and in need of protection, that is not how we are going to be looking at children. So knowledgeable and meaning makers is how we look at children, especially in a progressive classroom. Remember the main word out here is progressive class. Next is feedback to students in a classroom is most effective when? When is feedback most effective? It assigns comparative ranks during it occurs during as well as after learning, focuses only on what the child cannot do and centers around tests. Yeah, option 2 is correct. Okay, assertion and reason. During adolescence, the pressure to conform to gender expectations and follow conventions of femininity and masculinity increases. So you have to first say whether it's true or not. And gender roles are determined biologically. Okay, so yes, A is true and R is false. R is false because gender roles are determined socially. Gender is a social concept. So assertion and reason, A is true, but R is false because our genders and gender roles are social concept. Question 4 is Sunita, a 12-year-old daughter, shows exceptional musical ability. Both her parents are accomplished musicians or singers and they send her for classes. So her capabilities are most likely a result of what?
Heredity and environment.
Yes, it is both heredity and environment. Sensitive periods are those times during which certain dash are specially important for the course of normal growth. So what is important in sensitive periods? Are sensitive period?
Environmental factors.
Yes, correct. Environmental factors out here become very important. Now, if you compare this paper with last week's paper, the same thing was asked in a different manner. So what I want to tell you is that whether you're attempting paper 1 or paper 2, CDP and languages are going to be quite similar. So don't think that I will not do, I will not practice from the other paper. Question 6 is in order to develop critical thinking among students, what should a teacher do? Ask only those questions which carry single answers, discourage students from asking doubts, give questions that involve
Any
emotion.
question that
Option
involve
number 3.
Yes, option number 3 is
three.
okay. And anytime you see the word only, it is not going to be an option. Yeah, that's not going to be there.
Okay.
Now, 7th, a teacher asks herself, how can I provide experiences that require students to classify different types of objects in the environment and analyze their classification. So basically, what intelligence is she trying to promote? So this is from Howard
Naturalistic.
Gardner.
Three.
This is naturalistic.
Option three.
Yeah. How does setting goals impact a student's motivation and view of ability?
Option three. Option two.
Yes, the answer is option 2. Okay, so I wanted to explain this concept of entity view and incremental view. there are two views of motivation. So in the entity view basically says that the entity, that is a person, has fixed abilities. Okay, you can't do anything beyond that. So what a person say, like when you say no, he वो तो topper है, मैं तो गधा हूँ. Teachers only end up labeling, parents label. So you give an entity view to a person that this is your limit and you can't go beyond this. And you'll see many children say, how much ever I try, I will never be able to crack this math sum, or how much ever I do, I'm never able to learn this. So that is having an entity view of yourself. And if you take the incremental view, that is the next view, it says that if you put in hard work, you can always improve. Okay, so if you look at this question, I'm going back to sharing. So if you look at this question about his abilities, if you set a mastery goal, so mastery goal versus performance goals. So mastery goal is when you say that I will master the topic. Performance is when you want the performance only to be good. Like I want to get 50 on 50 in maths, however I get it. So if you are going to focus on mastery goals, then there will be enhanced intrinsic motivation and belief in the incremental view of ability. So intrinsic motivation will be high and incremental view of ability will be right. So they have taken two topics out here, mastery goals versus performance goals, and entity view of ability and incremental view of ability, and they have kind of given a very good question. Okay, so that's how these are the difficult questions to attempt when you're doing CBT. Rama is a teacher who's implementing Vygotsky. So in 7th July, lots of Vygotsky questions in her classroom, and she assigns her students to work in groups to complete a challenging task. During the task, one student struggles to understand what would be the most effective for Rama.
Option 4.
Yes, option 4 would be the best. No providing the child with the answer, asking them to solve on their own. Child is, that's not the best option. Higher education maybe, not school education. Assign a different task to the student, of course, that doesn't help. Another assertion and reason, teachers should encourage debate, discussions and collaborations among students. And knowledge production is an inactive process, and engagement in group activities hinders meaningful learning. Others, please do put in the more interactive you are, the better it is. Please at least put in, whether it's right or wrong, at least put in the answers in the chat.
Ma'am, A is true but R is false.
Yes, A is true and but R is false is correct, because knowledge production is not an inactive process, it is an active process. Okay. 11, change and stability in emotions, personality and social relationship. What will it be? Will it be a personality development, emotional development, psychosocial or cognitive?
Cognitive development.
Here it will be
Option 3.
Option 3, psychosocial, because they have taken emotions, personality and social relationship. So if you look at all the options that have been given to you, they have
Ma'am, why not cognitive?
So cognitive, your psychology will look at the options which they have given. Cognitive is to do with thinking. Okay, here they are talking about your emotions. That's a part of your psychology. Your personality is a part of your psychology, and so social they have taken. Cognitive is when you are talking about developing how you think. So if I'm talking about developing your analytical skills, your critical thinking skills, your problem solving skills, those will all be cognitive skills. These are psychosocial. Okay, question 12 is, which of the following correctly describes culturally responsive teaching? So they've given 4
All of them.
No,
Option 3. Option 3.
Standardized is not culturally responsive. We don't want standardized. So it will be 1, 2 and 3. Option 3, yeah. So we want intentional. If you are culturally responsive, I have to be intentional about my students' culture. I have to adapt and I have to differentiate. I can't give the same to everybody. Assertion and reason. Schools should function within frameworks which assesses the finished product and learning outcomes, and learning is tightly sequential and hierarchical.
Both are false.
Yes.
Both are false. Yes.
Yes.
See, when it says
And
we should
learning
assess,
is hierarchical, but how it is tightly sequential?
it is not. Both are false. We are saying both A and R are false. Learning
Okay.
is neither hierarchical. It is a little bit hierarchical, maybe the teaching part of it, but tightly sequential, no. So R is false, and schools should always assess the process, not only the finished product. So both A and R are false. Okay, back to Vygotsky. According to Vygotsky, what is the relationship between language and thought?
Option 3, language and thought are independent of each
No,
other.
they are not independent at all.
They are dependent. Language and thought are complex, interrelated process of. Ma'am,
Yes.
option 4 actually. It's
Yes, option 4 is correct. So Piaget said, so although they didn't say it exactly, but from the seated point of view, according to Piaget, thoughts come before language. Thoughts first, then language. And his main argument was that how does a deaf and dumb person, one who doesn't use language, how does he think? He also has to have thoughts. So he said thoughts plus language, whereas Vygotsky said language. It is because of language that you can think. But basically, what he said was that they are independent up to the age 3, and then they become dependent on each other, and then they kind of become one. But language leads thoughts, as per Vygotsky, and thoughts lead language, as per Piaget. That's the main difference between them. They are complex, interrelated processes. Question 15: which of the following is a correctly matched pair? So criterion
Option
reference.
3,
Formative is determining what students can do before and after the class. No, not after. Formative is while, do before and while the child is learning. So this is not.
Ma'am, let us read the option. Give us some time.
Yes, sure. So option 1 is criterion reference assessment, includes mastery of specific topics. Norm reference assessment compares performance to that of peers. Formative assessment is determining what the students can do before and after the class, and summative involves paper pencil test as well as detailed account of non-written behavior.
option 4,
Ma'am, it should be option 1.
Yeah, so this as per CTET has given 2 as the answer, which is correct, and according to me 1 is also correct. So I'm not sure. This is the 7th July paper, and what they have done is immediately they didn't give time for people to ask and quantify, put in their things. So let me explain this. Formative assessment is wrong because after the class is over, formative assessment doesn't take place. Summative assessment is wrong because this is correct. Detailed account of non-written behavior, no. Non-written behavior does not come in summative assessment. Summative assessment is end of. So these two are wrong. So they have taken it from norm reference and criterion reference. So norm reference is when you compare with your peers. Like somebody has got rank 100. Means even if you, like what happens in the IIT exams, if you get AIR 1, All India rank 1, does not mean that you have got full marks. It just means that you've got the highest and everybody else is ranked. So norm reference is correct. According to me, criterion reference is also correct because it includes, it is actually mastery of specific topics. So this is something which I had put in when I was doing the whole thing, that there's a problem in this question. But 7th July, they immediately released the answers and the results.
So which one they considered the correct one, or they considered it was?
CTET has considered 2 as correct in their final answer key.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is why I say that don't aim for just 90 or 95. CTET 2-3 mark इधर उधर होगा ही. 5 number, but we have to aim for 120 if we are going to get at 100, 110. Okay, 16. Which of the following hinders the participation of students with visual impairment? which will hinder it.
Option
Electronically
4.
format, tactile models of graphic. Tactile means we can touch it. We were talking about hindering. Hinder means the
Ma'am,
problem.
printed textbooks and notes.
Yes, printed textbooks and notes will hinder. Now you might ask, what about electronically formatted
And
lectures
that
and
can be audible also, no? Electronic not always means where
Correct.
children can see.
Correct, absolutely. So that is why this will help. Raised line drawings and maps will help the child. Tactile modes of graphic material will help. So hence, I mean, these will not be the wrong answers. This becomes printed. They have made it very clear that printed notes and textbook, they will not help the visual impairment. Question 7: which method
Okay, ma'am.
did Lawrence Kohlberg use to study moral development?
Ma'am, option number 2.
Yes, he used option number 2. Basically, he got hold of people and asked them questions. And
Yeah, he took some set of children and then he gave them a situation of
Yes.
getting the medicine from the.
Yeah, he gave them many situations, but one of the most famous one is the Heinz dilemma of getting.
Yes, yeah, Heinz dilemma. Yes.
But they were all 16-year-old white boys, unmarried, and that is why the criticism of Kohlberg also comes up in that. 18, constructivist teaching leads to dash by dash learning.
Option 1. Discovery.
Correct. Now you might ask, why not receptive learning? Receptive learning is the same as passive learning. Just sounds very good, but it is they are just
Ma'am,
receiving.
if I can ask,
Yes, of course.
you might may feel like a being silly question, but
No, there are no silly questions.
what do we exactly mean by passive learning?
Passive learning is when, like, if I am teaching you now and you are asking questions, you are responding to me, you are actively involved in the process of learning. Passive learning is when the teacher is going on, lecture is going on, and student may be listening, may not be listening. In fact, when you say passive listening, passive learning, they are present in the class, but they are not really learning anything. So passive learning comes from the part called passive listening, where, let's say, music is going on in the background and it is just there. You may be listening, you may not be listening. So it's the duty of the teacher to find out whether the child is actually listening or not. Same way the child is actually learning or not.
Okay, and receptive is basically where kids they inquire, they ask, they respond.
No. Receptive learning is passive learning. They are just receiving. They are not
Okay, so
participating.
receptive and passive are nothing but same.
They are same. Receptive is the opposite of participative learning, which is where the child is participating, and receptive and passive are the same.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Please ask questions. Remember, this is for you to understand the entire paper very well. Question 19: students struggling with dyslexia can be taught to read through systematic phonological training, by providing higher grade level reading books, by giving long and complex passages through association.
Option 1.
Option 1.
Correct. So remember, this time onwards, that is both in the January paper and in the July paper, they have associated dyslexia with phonological. They use the word now phonological anything.
Ma'am, just here to clear one more doubt. Dyslexia is basically where kids they get confused with the alphabets, right?
Yeah, reading becomes a problem because they are not able to recognize the sound of the alphabet.
Okay, now what is this phonological, ma'am? What phonological
phonology? So when we teach a child phonics, the child can see the word ch, read it as ch, and say that this is ch. So this entire thing is phonological training, where a child is, let's say, a 5-year-old child is being taught phonics, or a 6-year-old child is being taught phonics. First, you have to presume
Okay, so this is phonics, nothing but phonics. Okay.
Phonics comes from phonology, knowledge of the sound of a alphabet. You have phonological awareness when you see a letter and say that this is the. That is phonological training. Phonology is sound, but phonological training, phonology is to do with associating a letter with the sound.
Okay, understood. Ma'am, can you give me a minute? I was just noting down the point. Associating letter with the sound, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question 20, Piaget's theory of cognitive development implicates that.
Option 3, curriculum should be designed.
Curriculum should be designed
Age group according.
to
It
stage.
should be outcome.
So he's not being talking about teaching concepts in a sequence of complex. So we never go from complex to simple. We always go from simple to complex. Reward and punishment is behavioristic, and focus should be the outcome of the activity. So outcome of the activity is not important. Process of thinking is more important. So this is how you can also rule out and be very sure that your answer is correct. Question 21, you're a teacher who wants to help your students develop metacognitive skills. So you have to first know what metacognitive skills
Second.
are. Which of the following strategies? Yes. Second is correct. So metacognition is knowing that you know, and the word which goes with it is reflection. Only a person who reflects will know what I know, what you know.
Ma'am, if you can explain metacognitive skill, please.
Okay, metacognition is
Yes.
metacognition happens when if I know something, like do I know, suppose you've all studied Piaget and a question comes which doesn't mention the word Piaget, but it says pre-operational, it says concrete operational, and you say yeah I know this, and you know that you know this. Okay? So that knowledge of knowing that yes I know, that is what is metacognitive ability. And there are lots of skills which develops that. One of the most important tools of developing metacognition is reflection, to think. So when you start teaching reflection to children, when you ask them to reflect, many a times when children fight, especially, and they hit each other, then you ask them, but why did you hit? मुझे नहीं पता, मैंने तो मार दिया. Then you say, but were you feeling angry? Were you feeling frustrated? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe the child is just hungry and they behave in ways which they do. So when you make them aware about what they are feeling, what they are thinking, that's when the metacognition develops. So the next time, and then of course you teach them skills like saying, next time you feel this way, do you think you could ask in a better manner? Could you use these words? Could you come to me and tell me? So you teach them metacognition. The child recognizes. Many a times we feel, no, I am becoming angry. I am becoming hungry. How do you know? You know that you know. So those are all your metacognitive skills. Metacognition is that. Of course, the skills have to be taught. Chat previews, none of you are using. But anyway, I'm quite happy that you are all asking questions. So encouraging students to reflect is metacognition. Which of the following statements is correct about autism? All autistic people have at least one.
Second, option 2.
It is a this is correct, yeah. So autism cannot be cured and or it improves with age. This is absolutely wrong. Solely caused by environmental factors? No, it is solely caused by hereditary factors. And not all us autistic people have some skills. वो एक आध लाल सिंह चड्ढा हो जाता है, but not everybody. Most of them are not. Okay, a key commonality in Piaget and Vygotsky's theory. What is common? Are their views about language and thought common? Focus on stage-like progression common? Involvement and engagement of children in their own learning, or role of culture?
Role of culture in the cognitive processes.
Option 3.
The role of culture is not common. Piaget never spoke about it.
Okay.
Involvement of children in their own learning is what is common, which both of them say. So Piaget, of course, doesn't mention culture. Piaget doesn't mention culture at all. His theories just doesn't go into culture. And when giving views on language thought, they absolutely differ. Vygotsky didn't give stage-like progression. So here also there's no commonality. But both said that the children are involved in their own learning. So option 3 is your correct answer. Assertion and reason. Teachers should respect the individual difference among learners and adapt their teaching to cater to the needs of all students. Okay, this is true.
Option 3, A is true, but
Uh,
R is
R is false, correct, because collaborations here they are saying should be avoided. No, we want collaboration. So option 3 is correct. Question 25, which learning strategy involves children teaching others what they have learned?
option 4.
Reciprocal.
Yes, this is reciprocal learning.
Yes.
So reciprocal teaching, reciprocal learning. So what happens in reciprocal teaching is that you form a group of 2 or 3 children, and one person teaches the other, then the other person teaches the other, then the other person teaches the other. In this way, they just keep teaching what they have learned from each other, and they kind of become better teachers. So you all know that when you teach somebody, you become a better teacher, better at that subject. So that is reciprocal teaching. It also happens between teachers and students. Many a time that question. Assertion and reason in Asian culture, which stress social harmony. Expressions of anger are discouraged and shame is encouraged. Emotions are subjective and do not play any role in learning.
Option 4.
Both are false.
No, here it is A is true, B is false. The Asian cultures, as opposed to the Western cultures, does expect social harmony. Social harmony, maintaining decorum, not expressing anger directly, and being, honor, shame. These are very important for Asian cultures. Of course, it's a stereotype, but generally, if you compare the two, the Western versus the Asian cultures are more bothered about social harmony. So A is true, R is false.
Ma'am, how is shame is encouraged? How about that?
Shame is encouraged in many Eastern cultures where if you don't do something, you are expected to feel sorry. Like if I,
Okay, expected to feel sorry. Okay.
yeah, that
I
way.
didn't actually understood this. Understood.
According to Piaget, how are children different from adults? Children are dependent on adults, while adults are independent. Adults are more knowledgeable than children. Children's thinking is qualitatively different from adults. Children's thinking is quantitatively different.
Number 3 now. 3
Option
options
1.
Yeah.
qualitatively different from than that of
Yes.
us.
Children are qualitatively, they think differently from adults. 28, which of the following promotes analytical thinking? The questions they've asked is capital city of India is, how many states are there, what is the total population, and what are the various
Option number 4.
causes?
Option 4.
Yeah. So these are all recall based questions. And this is the only one where there's something other than recall. Question 29, inclusive classrooms recognize that every child will learn at the same rate is an educational program offered to cater to the needs of special children, are meant to offer differentiated instructions as per individual differences and aim to remove all kinds of differences among children.
Option number 4.
4.
No, all kinds of differences you cannot.
Only 3 or 4.
It will be 3.
Okay.
We don't want sameness in the inclusive classroom. So suppose one child is deaf, I will treat him differently. Okay. One child is blind, I will treat that person differently. One child is gifted, I will treat that person differently. So same rate, same time, same everything standardized will not work in an inclusive classroom. We have to give differentiated instructions as per their differences.
But ma'am, one question here. Option number 4 says aim to remove all kinds of differences among the children. Why not this?
So all kinds is where you cannot do it. It is not possible to remove all kinds. We can just offer to what inclusion means is that we will just cater to every kind of learner as per what is their need. Yeah. So, but I cannot say I will remove everything for everybody. That's just too idealistic.
Okay.
Question 13, teachers should give a lot of opportunities to children for experimentation
So number A.
and constructive ways counted. Yeah, so both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation. Okay. Misconceptions are very well dealt if you take care of the examples and non-examples or not counter examples.